I'm going to show you how to make a dmag conversion for a Rap4 box mag. First thing I'm going to do, obviously, is your dmag. Cut it. Take all this crap out. You're not going to use any of that. Take that out. Alright. The main thing you want to do is get a Dremel. Alright, these two halves are going to stick together. You want to Dremel that out. Alright, until when you take your box mag apart, take it completely apart. Do not cut anything. Everything on this mag part comes apart. Take screws out. There's 3 screws in the mag wheel itself. Take those out. Put all that stuff to the side. The round, the round head, that unscrews. You'll just have a metal tube, alright? Keep that. That metal tube is what you want to be able to fit inside of here, and you'll be able to clamp shut. Now, you have to grind this down pretty thin, and it still may barely kind of fit like that, but that's fine. The next thing you want to do is measure your dmag. Mine is 2.5 inches from the corner, so it's 2.5 inches down from here. You don't have to stick to that 2.5 inches. You can do, 3 if you want. It all depends on how much clearance you want to do for your mag. Mine sits pretty tight, so if I do it again, I'd probably give a little bit more length to it. So you cut that down. Another thing you're going to do is you're going to need these, alright? So, pop the spring off, keep that. You're going to cut this a little bit higher than what you cut your dmag, because obviously, when it's in there, this has to move down, alright? So keep that in mind. You might have to play with it a little bit. But when you cut it, obviously that's where your spring goes. You can make one up here. So when you cut this, just take your Dremel and back this out. Alright? And then just round that. And that will give you where your spring goes into, obviously. Alright, so you got that part. So this is Dremeled out to fit your metal tube. That's cut to 3 inches, and then you're going to cut this to match that, so the file will go up and down. Alright, the next thing you're going to need to do is chop this in half. Now remember, these are going to go inside of here. Alright, so what I did was I cut it off right there. I went from this groove all the way down. Got rid of it. Alright, so when you do that, you're still going to be able to put your follower in there the same way it normally would be. Then after that, what I did to make the base, I just used the existing dmag. I cut a square out and did the little part for where the metal housing is going to go down. Then I epoxied this part to the little piece I cut down here. So literally, you do not have to do anything to the original mag wheel that comes on this. So you can put it back in stock. If it doesn't work, you're not going to destroy anything. Alright? Drill holes, in the little square piece. Epoxy the top part to a little square you cut out from down here. You're good to go. Make sure you dry fit it so everything lines up. I hot glued it to tack it in place to hold the epoxy. Now one of the problems you're going to run into is where you're going to have to put the circuit board. So I put mine inside of the feed port. Now you're going to have the speaker and you're going to have the light source that's going to make your basically make the damn thing work. So I drilled a hole in the top so both of those things can get work. What I did was I turned the sensor for the light all the way down and the sensor for the speaker all the way up, because it's not going to hear your bolt because it's not in the mag well, but it cycles fine. To hold the circuit board in, what I did was I took one of the parts of the existing mag well, the part where the circuit board will clip on, and I just hot glued that to the inside. Alright, so it's got something to sit on it. It's not just floating. You put the 2 top screws in to hold the circuit board down, and there you go. You're good to go. That honestly is pretty much it. You just want that metal tube to slide inside of here. You don't need springs. You don't need any of the other shit. This is where your follower, you know, is going to obviously hold it. And that's why you have to have this part in there. You have to. Just cut that slide out, you're good to go. The Dremel part, you're just going to have to play with. You know, make sure you grind these down. You know, just keep dry fitting it. Take that metal tube out and keep clamping it on there, until you finally get it right. At least that's what I did. If you want to get more creative than this, you can. This is just what I did. If you want to make it more sturdy and you don't want to epoxy anything, what you can do is cut this further and then notch it and then actually fold these parts out. That way you don't have to epoxy anything. And then you can use these flaps to screw it to the actual box mount. We'll probably do that later on, but you never know. It feeds, it fits, everything's fine with it. I ran about 500 paintballs through it. I haven't had a problem yet. If you do have a feed problem, your dmag may not be sitting down on that metal tube far enough. Just remember, when you are doing this, see how this is slanted? Definitely want to start grinding down this part. Don't worry about that little hole because it's going to catch over here, so that doesn't matter. Just grind this down until it's flat and open. You know, grind it down as far up as you can. Definitely want to grind the very tip of this down, you know, all up through here. You want to just thin all this shit out, all of that out. And that honestly should be it. The main thing is getting that metal tube to sit inside of here. The box mag does everything else. And cutting that follower. I had to cut mine 2-3 times to get the length right. Not that big of a deal. I got tired of it and actually cut a little bit off the spring, but it works. Just play with it. This is the first one I've done, so if you can improve on it, do anything else, do it. Leave a comment, let me know what you did, because if I can make mine better, I want to do that. That really should be it. Main thing is keep it simple. It's not that big of a deal. The box mag does everything. Pretty much all you want is this to sit up inside of your mag. As long as the follower pulls back, your mag locks in, the box mag is going to do the rest of it. There really isn't that much going on. Now this feed, that is pointless. You can't use that anymore. So one of the problems I did have was because this stops cycling when there's no light. When I first did it, I had the sensor up really high. So it just kept cycling. Once I turned the sensor down low, I didn't have a problem with it. Worst thing you can do is put a piece of tape over top of it. You know, once you load it into your gun, put a piece of tape. It'll stop and it'll cycle because the speaker will take over at that point. Other than that, that's pretty much all I did. It's not a huge thing. I know guys are going crazy about, you know, would you measure how far? I don't know. I just looked at it and I cut it. All I can tell you is this is 2.5 inches from the corner down. If you want to make it longer, go for it. Yeah, if you have any questions, hit me up, leave a comment, or find me on Facebook. Jason Backstrom. That's it.